Microsoft's Surface Book 2 has more power and a new 15-inch size. Aspec bump and a size bump for a laptop should be the easiest story in the world to tell. For example, Microsoft's Surface Book 2 has new processors, new graphics cards, slightly tweaked designs, and is now also available with a new 15-inch screen. Simple. But for Panos Panay, the head of Microsoft's Surface division, nailing that story is a struggle. He can enthuse about the intricacies of the updated hardware design of this powerful machine, which is designed with a snake-like hinge that allows you to remove the screen and use it as a tablet. He will tell you about its upgraded, 8th generation quad-core Intel processors, NVIDIA graphics cards, and improved battery life. He's unafraid to mention his primary competitor, the MacBook, by name, and he'll claim these laptops beat Apple's in several categories. When we sat at a conference table in Microsoft's headquarters earlier this month to look at the new Surface Books, Panay did all of those things, but none of those things are really a story. So we sat in that room for spell, and as I messed around with the laptop, Panay talked about who it was meant for and what it was capable of. None of the stories were gelling, if I'm being honest, and I think he knew it, too. So we bailed on the conference room, and he took me to see how the laptop was made and, just as importantly, how the story gets made. Here's what I learned in that conference room. For the Surface Book 2, Microsoft is stepping up to the 8th generation Intel processors, which essentially means there are quad-core options available. The 13-inch version comes with an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 with 2 GB of graphics memory. The 15-inch Surface Book 2 has the GTX 1060 with 6 GB of graphics memory. There are, of course, a multitude of different configuration options, but prices for the 13-inch model start at $1,499, and at $2,499 for the 15-inch version. The Surface Book, if you're not familiar, was Microsoft's first true laptop, introduced in 2015. Since then, it's seen a few minor spec bumps, but not major changes. This year's Surface Book 2 also doesn't really introduce major changes, at least not when it comes to the basic look and feel of the device. The most unique part of the Surface Book is the hinge, which uncoils like a tread rolling off a tank. It's designed to increase the horizontal depth of the base of the laptop, which is necessary because the screen is heavier than usual. It's heavier than usual because you can detach it and use it as a standalone tablet. The Surface Book is not an ultra-portable laptop, it's a big, powerful beast of a laptop. It is not small, it weighs more than many other laptops, and it costs much more, too. It's a device you get because you want a ton of power. Even people who like the idea of tablet Windows PCs are probably better off with the Surface Pro, unless they need to regularly do something very compute-intensive. Although it's not specifically designed to be a gaming laptop, it should be able to handle fairly high frame rates, especially on Xbox games. All that silicon should also make the Surface Book 2 powerful enough to handle VR, video editing, and gigantic Excel spreadsheets. Panay says that the Office team worked closely with the Surface team to optimize the two for each other. It's also going to be a flagship platform for this year's Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, which places a heavy emphasis on mixed reality, Microsoft's term for VR and AR experiences. Beyond just the specs, Microsoft did a ton of work that is only barely noticeable on the outside. The thermals have been reconfigured to pump more heat away from the chips. In the case of the 13-inch model, the tablet lid can do that without the need for fans. There are, of course, fans on the base of the laptop and also on both parts of the 15-inch version. The hinge on both models has been updated and strengthened to be more sturdy while taking up less internal space. Microsoft says it needed to directly fuse the fangs that hold the lid in place to the hinge because the 15-inch version needed more stability. It still takes a good second or so for the detach mechanism to engage so you can lift off the tablet, and I wasn't really able to feel any of the changes to the hinge. The keyboard deck has been slightly tweaked to give it cleaner lines. Panay points out that Microsoft even went so far as to redo the areas around the cameras at the top of the screen, so there are fewer visible cutouts. Microsoft is finally putting a standard USB-C port on it, in addition to USB-A ports, an SD card slot, and the Surface connector, which it expects most people will use for displays. It's not, unfortunately, a Thunderbolt version of that port. The company is claiming both versions of the laptop can get 17 hours of battery life, and will happily compare that number to the MacBook Pro's claimed 10 hours. But it's Surface's and Apple's, so to speak. Microsoft bases its test on a video playback loop, while Apple says its test is more mixed use. It's probably safe to trust that the Surface Book 2 will have a great battery, but I don't know that I'd leave my charger at home for a weekend trip.